Good evening. This is an in-depth airsoft gun review for the WE Airsoft Beretta 92FS. The real steel version, originally made by Beretta of Italy. The 92 stands that it fires the 9mm parabellum rounds, and the FS means that it's been brought to US Army standards. It's known in the US as the M9 Beretta. As part of WE's range of M9s, this is part of the Resident Evil or Biohazard range. You can tell this because it has the logo here on the hand grip which says Raccoon Police Stars, and on the top here where it says Stars RPD Special Team. On the other side of the weapon, if you could just see it, it says at the top here on the slide, Mod Samurai Edge Law Enforcement Use Only. If you know your Resident Evil trivia, you will know that Kendo's gun shops are the one that made the weapons for the Stars team in the video game. Before I continue with this review, I'd like to point out some of the legalities regarding airsoft weapons. This is an airsoft gun. It cannot be made or adapted to fire live ammunition. It can only fire plastic BBs such as these ones using compressed gas from the magazines. However, do not take such a weapon out into the public or display it in public in any place unless it's an area specified for airsofting. Doing so may land you being arrested or worse. Please follow the local laws of your area. Okay, on to the review of the actual weapon now. If it looks like I'm hanging over something, it's because I've got the camera and the tripod in the way. Tokyo Marui make the exact same weapon as WE. In fact, I think they were the first ones to make them. However, the difference being between WE and Tokyo Marui is that WE have made the slide or upper slide of full metal. This weapon is capable of taking both green gas, red gas and CO2. I've used all of them and none of them have had any detrimental effects on this weapon. The full metal slide is a Brigadier slide, so be wary of that when you are purchasing Serpa holsters for this weapon. The first Serpa holster I got for this weapon was a Blackhawk CQC Serpa holster, and guess what? The weapon didn't fit. It got jammed somewhere around here at the end of the holster. I ended up having to use a heat gun and a Dremel to grind the holster off in order to get that part of the Brigadier slide to fit. However, once you do, most other universal holsters should fit this fine. As stated, it's got the Stars RPD Special Team on this side, and on the other side has the Mod Samurai Edge Law Enforcement Use Only. The safety switch is ambidextrous on both sides. At the moment it's in safe. When it's in the down position, flick it up and you've got to reveal the red dot, which means it's ready to fire. And the same goes for the other side. This is in the fire position, flick it down in a safe position. The sights are a standard triple sight, 2 at the back, 1 at the front. Initially when you get the weapon it will be just a white dot sight where they've just painted some white dots on the front. I'll try and get that in focus for you. There we are. It's initially just painted white, however I got hold of some glow-in-the-dark paint and was able to paint over that. So if I just cover my hand over here, it should just glow ever so lightly. If I hold it up to the light, give it a few seconds, you should see it glowing quite nicely in there. On the other side you have the false extraction lever to just give it a bit of added realism, and that's the metal slide. Quite nice, well built, and very strong. Okay, moving on. We now come on to the lower receiver of the weapon. Again, made of full metal. The only plastic parts in this weapon are the hand grips and some bits inside. The grips are fake wood, they're not real, it's made of plastic. Any aftermarket real wooden grips should fit this okay. The badge is also part of the plastic moulding. Little issue on the badges is that after a while the gold of them start to fade, especially if you've been handling and holding the gun obviously by the pistol grip as you would. I think the other side demonstrates that a bit more clearly, where it has actually faded. You can see where the gold is and where it's gone all a bit silvery now. Magazine release catch, only from this hand side, only from this side can be released. Works pretty well. Magazine goes in, you push it, magazine comes out, slides out quite nicely. You've got the slide lock on this side here, which actuates and locks the slide to the rear and lets it forward. And when the magazine is in, the magazine pushes up against that slide when it comes to the end, so that as the weapon empties of the last BB, it locks it back for you. Push it down to release the slide. You also have the trigger lever on this side here, so when you pull the trigger you'll notice it moves forward. If we take it off safety, you'll see that move forward and hear the hammer click, as so. And lastly, you got this little button here which releases the slide if you push it down, and on the other side it actuates this little pin here, and that lever can then be moved. So to remove the slide, lock it back just for sake, push it down, push that forward, and you can release the slide and it comes off nicely. Putting it back on, same thing, lock the slide back, flick that back in place, release the slide, fire off the action. Right, moving on to the magazines. As you can see, I have 6 magazines for this weapon. However, these 3 are different from these 3, as you can probably guess by just that indentation here, and we'll go on to that in a moment. So they're both different. We'll focus on this one first and move that one out of the way. When you buy the gun, you'll get a magazine identical to this one. It's made by WE, and it's a standard gas magazine. As you can tell, it's got the gas release valve at the top, and this is where you put the gas in at the bottom. It uses standard green gas. However, I have used red gas on colder occasions, but I wouldn't recommend you use this all the time. However, it's fine to use with the weapon. The M9 has not suffered any lasting damage from using red gas. As with the standard magazine, it's made of full metal. The only plastic parts being the top here and the rubberized part here. Has a 26 round capacity, and obviously load the BBs in here. They push down the spring, and as you fire, the spring pushes them back up. This little nub here, you can probably just see disappearing. That interacts with the slide release or catch. So as you put it in, pull weapon back, weapon locks back, push that down, that pushes down on that nub, which then releases the slide forward. Has about enough gas capacity for probably say 1.5 mags of BBs. Not a bad magazine overall. Does suffer from the usual green gas issues, such as when it gets too cold, and if you fire too quickly the rubber starts freezing. I would recommend a valve tool so that you can tighten or loosen the valve if you're doing any maintenance on it, but it's not completely necessary. If you don't know what you're doing, you might as well not just bother getting one. I will show in a later video how to disassemble one of these so you can do some maintenance. It's quite easy, nothing too difficult, to be honest. Right, let's move on to the next magazine, which is, I'll find one which is empty, that one. Okay, so you're probably wondering what's the difference between those magazines, these ones, and this magazine. This magazine, same thing, 26 rounds, plastic top, full metal body, gas release valve on the rear, and a rubber meeting point where it meets the weapon, and again the little black nub that locks the slide in place. However, the difference is no gas entry point, and the reason for that is this is a CO2 magazine which uses standard 12 gram CO2 cartridges. They fit inside the magazine, and as you pull the trigger, these slowly go expel their gas. These ones are made by ASG, but any brand should do. However, your FPS mileage will vary. So there you have it, the Beretta 92FS, or the M9 Beretta, as I find it much easier to say, made by WE Airsoft. Uses both green gas and red gas and CO2, and fires only 6mm BBs of any weight really. Again, depending what gas and BBs you use, your FPS and accuracy mileage will vary. I hope you enjoyed this video and it's been informative to you. Thank you.